Hi, I'm Jeff, and this is Article of Faith number 29, and it's on civil governments. And this is actually the very last one in this Article of Faith series. And for me, this has been good. I've been going through these ancient doctrines of the United Methodist Church as found in the Book of Discipline. And especially in these difficult times as a denomination, a number of times I'll be having a conversation with somebody, and the words of these doctrines have come back to me and provided clarity on whatever we were discussing, because there is a lot of wisdom here. I think after this I'm going to go to a more practical church finance, stewardship, treasurer type of series, and we'll see how that goes. So that's what I'll probably do next week. But if this has been helpful to you, remember they're on my YouTube under a playlist, or you can find them on Facebook. So let's go into this. So this is from the Methodist Episcopal tradition, this one, and there's no number on it, meaning it was an add-on. It was added on later after the original set of articles of religion. And it says, "It is the duty of all Christians, and especially of all Christian ministers, to observe and obey the laws and commandments of the governing or supreme authority of the country of which they are citizens, or subjects, or in which they reside, and to use all laudable means to encourage and enjoin obedience to the powers that be." So this is kind of interesting, because earlier on in the original set, I think it was Article of Faith number 24, there was the doctrine that the U.S. is a sovereign nation. I can't remember exactly what it said, but back when that was said, the idea of which country we were citizens or subjects of, that was in question. Was it Britain, or was it this new nation? And this, so anyway, that's settled, so then they could put this doctrine out. That will lead to a different question I'm going to talk about later. But I also thought it was interesting that it's especially all Christian ministers should observe and obey the laws and commandments. And it's because just that the Christian ministers have extra influence on whether their people are going to be rebellious citizens or obedient citizens, I guess. Are they going to be good citizens? Or bad citizens, however you want to define that. And then also, not only then will the ministers influence their flock or the church, there's that idea that not only should we obey and observe, but that we should also be encouraging and enjoining others to obey. So not only, we're trying to make our whole communities better citizens. You know, the part of this that is struggling is, again, there was a time when it was proper that the United States broke away, and this one almost seems to encourage blind obedience towards the government, and that's, to me, somewhat problematic. But I think you'd have to take this one that during regular times we need to be the best citizens that we can be. Let's go ahead and go to the next one, because I do like the Confession of Faith. So this is the EUB one better. I do like it better, because I think it handles that idea that government may not be always following what's best for their citizens or what God would want. So, and it says, "We believe civil government derives its just powers from the sovereign God. As Christians, we recognize the governments under whose protection we reside, and believe such government should be based on and be responsible for the recognition of human rights under God." So this one, again, it's saying that if you are getting the benefits from it, if you're receiving the benefits of the government, you should recognize the government as the authority. So that this is a lot more watered down than the Methodist Episcopal one, and it says that also, and I think this is on purpose, that it derives its just powers from the sovereign God. That probably it doesn't derive all of its powers, but there are just powers that are derived from a sovereign God. And those are probably those are the ones that we need to respect the most. Those are the ones that we need to pay attention to the most and show the most obedience to. Where are the just powers being used? And it's also that idea that government, this is really putting the burden on the government, not on the Christian, but it's that government should be based on and be responsible for human rights under God. So what are those God-given rights? And as a Christian, I believe that is what we are helping government do, is be a better government, to help live into that, where they are recognizing and being responsible for those human rights under God. So that is the part where there is a little bit of civil disobedience, if you want to call it, built into our doctrines. And then it goes on to say, we believe war and bloodshed are contrary to the gospel and the Spirit of Christ. We believe it is the duty of Christian citizens to give moral strength and purpose to their respective governments through sober, righteous, and godly living. So, clear declaration that we are opposed to war and bloodshed. Not opposed to soldiers, but we are opposed to war and bloodshed. How does the sword advance the gospel? That's the main concern. If our main concern is getting people to heaven, does war do that? But then it's interesting here. Again, it's almost that civil disobedience type of thing. We are to live more faithful to what we believe God is calling us to. So, and that will provide a moral strength and purpose to their government. So we are supposed to be influences on government, not just blind obedience to the government. And that the primary way for us to do that is to live a godly life. And that means also to be good citizens when it's appropriate to be good citizens. So this was an interesting one. It almost seems like the Methodist Episcopal Church should have talked with the EUBs when they put these together, because these are the ones where it seems almost like the EUBs are the rebels and the Methodist Episcopals are the loyalists, if you want to call it that. So interesting thing, interesting one to end up on, and that this ended up being a doctrine of the United Methodist Church is also interesting. So, all right, have a good weekend.